He chuckled, not just with his mouth, but with his whole chest, when he saw my little booth at the flea market. "Still out here selling soap and dreams?" he said, loud enough for the other vendors to hear. I didn't say a word, just looked him square in the eye and handed a customer their change. "My name is Clarice Freeman. I'm 47 years old, and this is the story of how I learned that silence can be louder than revenge." I live in a small town just outside Columbia, South Carolina. Folks still wave from their porches. People still judge you by your church attendance. Gas is cheaper if you pay cash. If you ask the cashier how her mama doing, she'll knock 20 cents off your total just for being polite. Sundays after church, half the town heads to Waffle House. The other half winds up at Pine Grove Flea Market, browsing used CDs, knockoff purses, jars of honey, and whatever treasures folks pulled out their garages Saturday night. That's where my story starts. Ridgeland Elementary Cafeteria. That's my full time. Been there 16 years. Hairnets, lunch trays, kids yelling my name even on my days off. "Miss Clarice, you got extra nuggets." I know every peanut allergy, every broken home, every smile that hides a tear. My job is not glamorous, but it pays the light bill. Still. My mama taught me something long before I ever served a corn dog in a public school cafeteria. She taught me how to make soap, real soap, the kind your great-grandmother used, lye, oils, patience, no shortcuts, no fancy machines, the kind of craft that makes your hands smell like lavender and determination. 3 years ago, I decided to take it seriously. I started with Dollar Tree molds and twine, made $84 at a church craft fair. That $84, it lit a fire in me. Every batch got better. Lemongrass and shea, eucalyptus charcoal, a bestseller among men who pretend they don't like smelling good. Vanilla bourbon, because Southern men love anything that reminds them of liquor and leather seats. Then came crackling woodwick candles, my pride and joy. Each one poured slow, each one tested in my own living room. I named my business Soft Power, because sometimes the softest things change the world the most. Friday evenings, I'd load my aunt's old Buick with crates of soap and one folding table that leaned a little to the right. Saturday, 6:45 a.m., same spot every time. Row 4, between boiled peanuts and VHS Lady. That's where Derek found me. Derek Langston, the kind of man who loves his reflection more than any woman who ever loved him. Cousin to my ex-husband, which already tells you enough. Ran a roofing company, red F-250 with pipes loud enough to shake Jesus off the cross, chrome everywhere. He liked for folks to hear his money before they saw it. One Saturday, he rolled up with music vibrating the stalls, stepped out like the flea market was his runway. "Clarice?" He said my name like he was surprised I wasn't barefoot and begging. "Didn't know you were still out here selling them little bubble bars." I corrected him, politely. "They're called cold-processed soaps." He laughed harder. "Girl, come work for me. I could use somebody to answer phones and keep coffee warm." I smiled, because Southern women can smile through a hurricane. But that was only the beginning. That night, he posted a picture of my booth, messy, early, still being set up. Caption said, "Support small businesses, even the cute little hobbies." I saw the likes, the laughing emojis, the "she's still doing that" comments. I didn't clap back. I didn't waste breath. Because silence is strategy. Next week, I sold out. Every bar. Gone by noon. Then came the bridal order. Then the baby shower order. Then the spa order from Charleston. People didn't just like my product. They came back and brought friends. Before long, I made more money selling soap than slinging chicken nuggets. But I didn't quit my job. Not yet. I wasn't done building. I registered the LLC, upgraded my packaging, took a course on business credit, learned how to talk like the folks in boardrooms, even if I was still stirring gumbo in a cafeteria kitchen. Meanwhile, Derek kept laughing. "Soft Power? Sounds like lotion for crybabies." "Let me know when y'all go public. I might buy a share." He loved to perform for an audience, especially if other men were standing around, especially if my ex-husband was in earshot. And trust me, my ex laughed loudest. A man who contributed nothing but opinions always has the most to say. Still, while Derek was busy being loud, I was busy being consistent. Then came the grant. Our church partnered with a local credit union, offering $5,000 to help minority-owned businesses expand. Real money. No strings. Just proof you're building something real. I applied. Binder clipped, color-coded tabs, nothing sloppy, nothing last minute. Derek applied too, because of course he did. When he saw my name on the list, he laughed so loud the papers on the counter fluttered. "You applying for what?" "The same thing as you," I said. He shook his head. "That grant is for real businesses, Clarice, not flea market hobbies." Folks chuckled. My ears burned, but I kept my chin still. That was the last time I let his voice reach my bones. 3 weeks later, the committee called. I got the grant. Not only that, they invited me to speak at the Fall Entrepreneurship Mixer, professional mic, stage lights, name badge with my business logo, shining gold. I wore a green blazer from Goodwill that fit like it was tailored for me, pressed my hair into soft curls, pinned on Mama's pearl brooch. I stepped onto that stage, and there he was, arms folded, back against the wall, trying so hard not to look impressed. Derek. Langston, Mr. Loudest in the room. Silent for the first time since I met him. I smiled inside my chest, because that moment, that was my first win. But the thing about men, like Derek, they don't stay quiet long. And the next time he opened his mouth, he aimed to destroy everything I was building. He just didn't realize I wasn't the same woman he used to laugh at. Not anymore. The church auditorium still smelled like pine sol and folding chairs when I stepped off the stage. My palms were still warm from shaking hands. My heart was still catching up to the fact that people clapped. For me. I just finished giving a short talk about product consistency and brand story. Nothing fancy, just the truth about how I built soft power from a kitchen counter that used to hold nothing but microwave dinners and unopened mail, to a business with a waiting list. The applause wasn't Beyoncé level. It wasn't wild. It was steady, sincere, respectful. Like the community finally realized I wasn't that lady selling soap on Facebook anymore. I breathed in that moment like oxygen. Then I saw him, Derek, leaning against the punch table like it was his throne, arms crossed, jaw tight, trying not to drown in his own envy. His eyes tracked me like he was counting my successes. 1, 2, too many. I didn't approach him, didn't need to. I'd already said what needed saying. Into a microphone under bright lights with the whole town listening. 2 weeks later, he showed up at my store. But first, let me tell you how that store even existed. Because storefronts don't just appear. They're fought for, cried over, prayed into existence. After the grant came through, I scouted every empty space off Highway 321. Most were too big, too expensive, or too depressing to save. Then I saw it. A tiny corner unit that used to be a payday loan joint. Still had the bulletproof glass between the counter and the front door. People used to come here desperate. Now they'd come here for healing. That felt poetic. The landlord saw a struggling plaza. I saw opportunity. The previous carpet was the color of regret. Ugly gray, stiff under the feet. I ripped it up myself. Scrubbed glue residue until my knees screamed. Painted the walls in cream and sage. Colors that felt like a deep sigh after a long week. Floating shelves, pendant lights warm like candle flame. My niece drove down from Charlotte, music blasting in her Jeep. We spent hours dressing the window display, mason jars, air plants, handwritten signs that said, crafted with care, not chemicals. Self-care is not selfish. Soft does not mean weak. We stepped back and stared through the glass. It looked legit. It looked like a woman's dream finally taking up space. Grand opening day, packed. $6,200 in 7 days. I cried counting the money. In February, I turned in my resignation to Ridgeland Elementary, the place that paid my bills but never fed my future. They hugged me, cried in the break room, signed a card that said, "So proud of you, Miss Clarice." I saved that card, still read it some nights. Success didn't happen overnight, but those nights had finally arrived. Then, one rainy Thursday right before closing, the bell over the door jingled, and in walked a storm in a blazer. Derek, dripping rainwater onto the fresh tile floor I installed with my own hands. His cologne entered the room before he did, the same harsh scent he wore to funerals, as if grief needed perfume. He looked around, didn't recognize me at first. "Hey," he said, brushing water off his jacket. "Y'all got anything for back pain? My girl keep talking about lavender and something." I lifted my eyes slow. "Lavender and eucalyptus," I said. "It helps with tension and muscle soreness." He blinked twice. "Clarice?" I nodded once. Let him feel the weight of what he almost laughed out of existence. A silence fell heavy between us, like unpaid debt. He scanned the shelves, touching candle jars like he'd never seen success up close, reading labels like they were written in a language he never learned. Discipline, vision, faith. "This your spot?" he asked. "All mine." He chuckled low, but not the same laugh as before. This one tasted like humility. Okay, I see you. Real shelves and everything." I rang up his little bath salts and massage bar. He pulled out his wallet, slow, stalling. You got a friends and family discount?" I tilted my head. "You still family?" His cheeks flushed heat. I pressed the full total. He paid, left without another joke. 3 months later. His truck was up on blocks. People whispered, not loud yet, but whispers are seeds. They grow. A lawsuit, shoddy roof work, water damage in Lexington, rich clients with powerful attorneys, permits expired, checks bounced, suppliers refused calls. By summertime, he was borrowing his girlfriend's Hyundai and ducking behind end caps in Food Lion to avoid creditors. I didn't laugh, not even inside. Pride kills faster than interest rates, but the universe wasn't done teaching him yet. At a business mixer, where people went to build things, Derek came to beg. Not openly, but desperation clung to him like sweat, which he had plenty of, his collar soaked through. He tried to joke, tried to charm, but confidence without stability? Transparent. Someone passed him a business card. He didn't flip it over, didn't read the back. CF&D Holdings. Sounded official, sounded like salvation. He didn't know those letters spelled my name. I'd learned something packaging soap late at night. Money moves quietly, and silence? Silence is profitable. With my cousin Lawrence, a CPA in Charleston whose calculator might as well be a Bible, I formed a small private lending company, CF&D Holdings, CF Clarice Freeman, D. Deacon, my father's nickname. A man who taught me that interest is a reward for patience. We don't lend what we can't live without. We lend what we're willing to collect, legally. Derek didn't know any of that when he called the number on that card. My new assistant, neat handwriting, stern voice, booked the appointment. "Tuesday at 2 p.m., sir." 5 minutes late, he came rushing in smelling like cologne and chaos. The receptionist made him sit beneath a painting of a lighthouse, guidance he didn't deserve. She played soft gospel. Order my steps. Poetic. After 10 minutes, I opened the conference room door. He looked up, and regret hit his face like a slap. "Clarice?" His voice tiny, suddenly polite. I sat, opened the file folder, clicked my pen, deliberately. "You requested $25,000 secured, 6-month balloon, correct?" He cleared his throat like it was clogged with excuses. Yeah, that's right." I skimmed his paperwork. "Business income down 72%. No active permits. No invoices, 60 days. Is that accurate?" He stared at the floor. "It's been a rough year." I slid a contract across the polished table, a table he never thought I'd sit on the other side of. "If you want the funds, you'll sign a lien on the truck and use your late grandmother's house as collateral. The title's still in your name, correct?" His chest rose sharp. "You serious right now?" I didn't blink. "This is a legal agreement. Read every line." He didn't read anything. He signed. With a pen that might as well have been a shovel, digging his own hole. He pushed the contract back, trying to smirk. "Guess you finally got a taste of the business world, huh?" I folded the document like a prayer. "No, Derek. I built mine. You borrowed yours." He didn't laugh that time. He just left. Quiet. And I learned something new that day. Revenge doesn't always show up with thunder. Sometimes it signs paperwork. The next morning, I had my assistant take the signed paperwork straight to the county clerk's office. Filed, stamped, legal, binding. No wiggle room, no takebacks. When I say my name means something, I make sure the courthouse knows it too. Derek didn't call, didn't text, didn't show his face at Food Lion, didn't even pop up in the parking lot pretending to pump gas while watching me through the pumps. He disappeared. That was fine by me. I don't loan to chase. I loan to collect. See? Some folks think lending means begging, asking, reminding, negotiating. Not me. If my money is out there, I'm not pacing my living room floor. I'm sleeping. Because I know paper is doing the pacing for me. 3 weeks passed. No payment. My assistant, Kayla, 23, sharp bob haircut, voice like, "Don't. Test me." Sent the first reminder email. Polite. Short. Time-stamped. A week later, second reminder. More direct. Third week, she sent a UPSP certified letter. Green card attached. The kind you have to sign for or it goes back to sender. That's how grown people communicate when cash is on the line. Week 4. My phone rang. Blocked number. But blocked numbers don't scare me no more. I let him speak first. "Hey, Clarice, look, I've been meaning to call. Things just got real hectic. I got the payment, I cut him off slow, like trimming split ends, clean and without apology. "You have until Friday at 5 p.m. Otherwise, the lien activates." Silence so thick it could have been poured into a candle mold. Then a soft laugh, the kind a wounded ego makes when it's cornered. "You serious?" I'm always serious when my name is on the deed. Click. Let me explain something. I didn't want his truck. Didn't want his grandma's crooked roof house either. A lopsided duplex with termite scars, yard full of beer cans and broken promises, a porch that groaned like it remembered better days. I didn't want any of that. What I wanted was my boundary respected. Men like Derek, they only acknowledge power when it revs loud. Chrome pipes, company trucks, designer belts holding up borrowed confidence. But the real power? It walks quiet. Soft shoes on hardwood, eyes level, receipts organized, tea steeping. Looks like a black woman with a calm voice and airtight paperwork. Friday came, $5 p.m. Nothing. 5:03 p.m. Still nothing. So at 5:03, I activated the lien because Grace has a schedule, and he missed it. By Monday, sheriff's office delivered notice. Paper in hand, badge on hip. By Tuesday, his girlfriend showed up at my shop. She stormed in like the bell above the door personally offended her. Neon nails, cheap perfume strong enough to peel wallpaper, loud voice rehearsed to make a scene. "You really gonna take his grandma house over some soap money?" she yelled. I placed a fresh candle on the display shelf, aligned the label, turned to her. Slow. "This isn't about soap," I said. "This is about signatures." Her mouth hung open, like she expected the villain to confess. She huffed, threw insults like rice at a wedding, called me fake Christian, said I was using voodoo candles to ruin black men. Then she jumped on Facebook Live. Bless her heart. I didn't comment, didn't defend myself. But orders for my Clarity candle, white tea and bergamot, tripled that week. Marketing, accidental and effective. The truck went first, auctioned off to a landscaping company in Sumter, $9,200 straight into my business account. Used it to knock out the back wall and expand my shipping area. I hired 2 part-time workers from the beauty college, young women who needed checks and believed in dreams. I taught them labeling, wrapping, wick trimming, SKU tracking. They called me Miss Boss Clarice. It felt good. Then the county clerk called. Apparently Derek had missed a second payment on the house. Back taxes stacking up like unpaid apologies, insurance lapse, roof still leaking. His life, one long drip. I drove out with a clipboard, a city inspector, and a locksmith. He wasn't home, didn't matter. Locks changed. Sign posted on the door. That night, I sat on that sagging porch, rocking in a rusted chair that chewed at my thighs through thin denim, sweet tea sweating down a mason jar, cicadas screaming like southern sirens, wind scratching the screen like it wanted in. I wasn't happy, not exactly, but I was steady, strong, aligned. Revenge didn't taste like sugar, it tasted like control. The next afternoon, a beat-up Altima skidded up the curb. Door slammed, boots stomping. Derek, storming across the patchy grass like he still owned something. "You for real, Clarice?" I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, face calm. "I gave you time. I gave you reminders. I gave you dignity." He laughed, bitter and metallic. Same laugh he used at the flea market that day. But now, it echoed off my property. "All this over a couple $1,000s? "No," I said. "All this over disrespect." His jaw twitched, like he wanted to argue, like he wanted the last word. But words don't fix negative balances. From behind my leg, I pulled a manila envelope, held it between us. Inside, a 60-day grace rental offer. He could rent the house he once flexed about, keep the lights on, pay a modest rate, no strings, except the obvious ones. Rent checks payable to CF&D Holdings, Atienne, Clarice Freeman, principal any late payment, immediate eviction, no tears, no tantrums. He didn't even open the envelope, just squeezed it, knuckles white. "You cold for this," he muttered. "No," I said. "I'm clean." He stood there, a man finally realizing that the woman he once belittled was now the gatekeeper to his shelter. Later that week, I returned to my shop, sage and sandalwood hanging in the air like peace had a scent, register drawer full, back room humming, tape guns snapping, label printers singing, fulfillment team laughing about TikToks and first dates. I stood in the center of my store, the place the world once called a hobby, now a headquarters. That night, before closing, I grabbed my ledger, pulled a sticky note from the drawer, wrote, "They only laugh when they don't understand the recipe. Keep mixing," stuck it on the inside cover. Then I turned off the lights, locked the door, and smiled. Because I finally understood quiet success is its own sermon. I didn't see Derek for a while after that. He vanished the way pride makes folks disappear, quietly, without farewell. Maybe it was shame, maybe it was shock, or maybe he was just somewhere staring at a mirror trying to figure out how the woman he used to joke about became the woman he now owed his roof to. Either way, he stayed silent, and I stayed steady. Fall arrived in South Carolina like it always does, soft and slow, leaves turning the shade of burnt sugar, air cool enough to make sweaters feel like hugs, the sun sitting lower, casting long golden shadows on the storefront glass. Business didn't slow, it bloomed. Every morning I'd unlock the door, and the scent of sandalwood and shea would greet me like a faithful friend. Online orders stacked up before sunrise. Wholesale requests kept hitting my inbox. People weren't just buying soap, they were buying peace. I hired a young woman named Tyesha from the community college. Pretty braids, butterfly nose stud, smile bright enough to warm the wax. She had a good eye, lining up labels perfectly straight without measuring, a soft, patient way with customers, the kind that made folks linger and spend just a little more than planned. I taught her everything, how to blend oils without rushing, how to pour candles at the right temperature so the tops settle smooth as satin, how to stamp every box like it was a love letter. Because in a way, it was. Everything in my shop had history. Lavender cuttings from my grandmother's garden in Florence, a woman who prayed over every seed she planted. Calendula balm I first made for my niece's eczema, when doctors only offered steroid creams and shrugging shoulders. Cedarwood bars designed for my Uncle Melvin, who always said, "A man ought to smell like strength, not sugar." Each product carried a story. Pain turned into purpose, lessons turned into labels. And now? I had standing orders from 3 boutique hotels, 2 wellness centers, a regional gift shop chain with 10 locations. Soft power wasn't just a business. It was my name moving into rooms I hadn't stepped foot in yet. One Saturday morning, I was restocking eucalyptus bars, breathing in that sharp, clean scent that always wakes me up, when Tyesha called from the register. "Miss Clarice, somebody here asking for you." I wiped my hands on my apron, smoothed my blouse, and stepped forward. There he was, Derek. Not the Derek of chrome pipes and loud belts, not the king of the flea market strut. This Derek looked regular. Jeans, long-sleeve shirt, no jewelry, no ego glittering off him like cheap rhinestones. Just a man, finally stripped of pretense. "Can we talk?" he asked. His voice? Quiet. I nodded. "Back room." We walked past the shelves, through the soft haze of diffused lemongrass, into the fulfillment space. He didn't sit, didn't touch anything, just stood, hands shoved in pockets, shoulders pulled tight like he was cold on the inside. "I got the rent this month," he said. I nodded once. "Good. And?" He swallowed. I wanted to say something. I didn't fill the silence. Silence is where truth blooms. He looked down at the floor, then lifted his eyes, heavy with humility. He was right. 3 small words, but they landed like boulders rolling off his back. And mine. I leaned against the counter, arms crossed, neutral. "You want to be more specific?" I asked. He breathed deep, like dragging honesty out from a place he'd buried it years ago. "I treated you like a joke, like what you were doing didn't matter. I thought loud meant successful. You know, flashy truck, big talk, big contracts." He nodded toward the shelves. "You built something real, quiet, permanent, and I didn't see it coming. That's on me." His voice cracked, barely, but enough. Enough to know the boy inside the man was finally speaking. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a thick envelope. "I want to pay back the loan early, plus the interest. I don't want nothing hanging over my head." I took it, thumbed through just enough to confirm the count, all of it, plus $512 extra. I set it down, looked him in the eye. "You sure?" He nodded. "I'm trying to start fresh." I opened a locked drawer, pulled out a document, ready weeks ago, just in case, a release form, freedom on paper. We both signed. "You're clear," I said. He stood still, like his body hadn't yet gotten the message that his burden was gone. Then he surprised me. "You hiring?" he asked. My eyebrow rose. "For what?" "Deliveries, inventory, whatever you need. I ain't too proud to work." He said it simply, not begging, not bargaining, just sincere. I thought about it. I saw him lifting boxes in the back, taking orders from Tyesha, loading the same SUV my products ship in, the same boxes he used to laugh at, a poetic picture. But timing matters, and respect must grow deeper roots before it gets rewarded. "Not right now," I said softly. No cruelty, just clarity. He nodded. No shift in his expression, no insult spewed. "I understand," he said. He turned and left, the bell above the door chiming his exit, softer than his entrance had ever been. That night, I sat on my porch again. Same rusty rocking chair, same mason jar of sweet tea, same cicadas screaming joyously into the dark. But me, I was different. The peace was thicker now, heavier, richer. I could breathe, knowing that revenge didn't rot my spirit, growth nourished it. Sometimes the victory isn't in making them fall, it's in watching them learn how to stand right. 2 weeks later, I came home to a package waiting on my stoop. No return address, just my name, handwritten neat and proud. Inside, a wooden plaque, warm to the touch, edges rounded smooth. The engraving. What they laughed at became what they lived by. No signature. Didn't need one. My heart already knew the author. The following Thanksgiving, the house smelled like sage, sweet potatoes, and quiet. Not a lonely, quiet. Not a worried quiet. A quiet that felt earned. A quiet that tasted like peace and cinnamon in the air. I had the oven going since 7 a.m., the good kind of early. Not rushed, not exhausted, just ready. The Macy's parade murmured from the living room, not loud enough to distract, just enough to make it feel like the world outside was smiling too. Cornbread dressing cooled on the back counter. Cranberry glaze bubbled slow on the stove like it had nowhere else to be. For the first time in years, I wasn't cooking because someone expected me to. I was cooking because I wanted to. Because joy, when it comes back home, smells like Thanksgiving. Tyesha was coming later with her boyfriend. My niece from Charlotte texted twice about her greens, said she hoped I liked them a little spicy this time. I smiled at my phone like it was a blessing delivered in emojis. In the corner of the dining room, gift boxes sat ready, holiday plaid wrapping, golden cursive names hand-lettered on tags, woodwick candles nestled in soft paper, pumpkin bourbon, cinnamon hush, sweet tobacco leaf, Soft Power's limited holiday collection sold out in 2 hours. Hundreds of orders boxed, shipped, loved. I leaned against the doorway and let myself look around. Really look. This was the same house that once held more bills than dreams. The same house Derek mocked, saying if I wanted a real future, I'd need a real address. Now, this house had a walk-in stockroom, a new HVAC that didn't rattle like bones, a custom wax station where the laundry machines used to complain, my late Aunt Josie's sewing nook, where she stitched Sunday dresses and hemmed hope into fabric. Now it hummed with a thermal printer and a label maker, progress and legacy. Living in the same square footage, quiet success, the kind that doesn't brag, the kind that introduces itself through fragrance and fulfillment tracking numbers. Around 2 p.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Just 2 words. Thank you. And then, Happy Thanksgiving. No signature. Didn't need one. Some messages don't require a reply. Some apologies arrive without punctuation. Some healing doesn't need witnesses. The day unfolded soft and slow. The kind of day that feels like a full circle closed itself while nobody was looking. We laughed. We ate too much. We passed around foil like it was currency. We prayed, not out of habit, but out of gratitude. When the last plate was rinsed and the front door shut behind the final goodbye, I made myself a fresh glass of sweet tea and stepped onto the porch. That rocking chair, rusted but loyal, creaked beneath me. The wind carried that mild South Carolina chill that feels more like a whisper than a warning. Cicadas weren't singing anymore. Their season done. Tonight, the soundtrack was leaves brushing pavement and the hum of streetlights trying their best. Across the street stood the old Langston house, still a little crooked in the back, still needing love in some corners. But the grass? Trimmed. Porch light? On. Life? Happening. In the mailbox earlier that week, beneath a rent check delivered early, was a folded note. Not long, no theatrics, just honesty written in uneven pen strokes. I know we can't rewind, but I'm grateful you didn't let me drown. I see it now. What you built. What I threw away. I hope someday I can build something that lasts half as long. I read it twice. Not looking for hidden meaning, just letting the truth settle like sugar at the bottom of a glass. I slipped the note into a memory box, right alongside my first Churchcraft fair receipt, the messy pencil draft of the Soft Power logo, a thank you card from a teacher whose skin finally healed, a printed screenshot of my first sold-out announcement. Every invoice that reminded me success isn't magic. It's math plus mercy proof that I didn't dream any of this. Proof that even small seeds grow into tall stories when you water them with belief. I rocked back, letting the porch protect me from the future like a warm blanket. Some journeys aren't loud. Some victories don't go viral. Some triumphs just show up in your bank account, in your breath, in your peace. And here's what I finally understand. Sometimes the ones who laugh early become the ones who learn hardest. Sometimes mockery is just admiration, wearing insecurity like a disguise. Sometimes people test your silence because they're terrified of what you'll say once your voice is supported by proof. And sometimes the best "I told you so" isn't said at all. It's notarized, stamped, filed at the clerk's office, held in equity, paid monthly, with interest. So no, I never screamed, never clapped back, never matched his volume. I let my work speak, let my boundaries speak, let my blessings speak. I kept pouring, kept cutting bars smooth, kept printing shipping labels and sealing boxes and praying over every small win. I kept my dignity wrapped tight like kitchen twine. I kept choosing progress over pettiness, because a woman who knows her value doesn't announce her future. She signs it, owns it, smells like sandalwood and success while doing it. I sipped the last of my tea, looked up at the stars watching me back, and whispered to the night, I made it. Not because someone else failed, but because I finally believed I could win. And I did. If this story struck a chord, hit like, subscribe, and tell me what you think in the comments.